Guys, I'm glad we're all the same panel as the last conversation I had about Brett Kavanaugh, or as they call him in his circles, Thurston Howell III. I told you that he was not going to be voted in, and forget about whether you guys believe or disbelieve the accusers or any of the allegations against them. Forget about that. I want to talk about something completely different. It is fact that he lied about who he is and what he is to, on basically at the job interview, which is in front of Congress, and that disqualifies you right away. He lied.
Tell us what he lied about, Frank.
He lied about his drinking. He lied about the big story today in the New York Times is that he texted a couple of his buddies from school to discount the second story where he showed his pee-pee. So he lied. He's a judge.
You mean he lied when he said he didn't show his pee-pee?
He said he did not show his pee-pee, and he said that he didn't know who she was, or it's a total lie, and he lied about his drinking.
Well, he came clean about the drinking, I guess, last week.
Well, it became almost crazy. It was very close to the Saturday Night Live satire.
That's right.
Matt Damon was dead on.
Well, Matt Damon made me piss my pants laughing.
When he walked in with that stupid sniffing thing and
and
killed
Trump's
it.
got the same thing when he gets nervous.
Yeah.
He's got the sniffles too. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if they can prove that he was not truthful, he's going to be. First of all, I don't think he's going to be the judge.
Well, I can tell you that
there's too much drama around him, and they're going to do the same thing that they did to Scott Pruitt. You know, they wanted Scott Pruitt in the EPA because he was going to dismantle it. He shut down everything, just like our new premier here. Mr. Doug Ford is stopping, mind-fucking-boggling, stopping emission control on checks on fucking older cars. So you're going to see fucking people burning oil and walking around and polluting everything. They're basically retarding advancement.
Well, when we listened to Kavanaugh last week in his testimony, I mean, Trump had his back. He's been saying he's had his back for forever. Now Trump is sort of turning on him and saying that if he lied, it's not acceptable, and he's going to basically live.
And that's pretty ironic from the biggest bullshitter in the world. That's ironic. From the guy who eats, shits, and sleeps bullshit. He on the plane, he said that he had absolutely no knowledge of Stormy Daniels' payment. Meanwhile, they just fucking traced back a fucking meeting he had with his son to go try to.
He knew all about the Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, fucking, you're Eric. You're exactly 150% correct. He's doing the Trump, I'm going to cover my fat orange ass dance.
Right. Go ahead, Billy.
Well, it's the talk about Kavanaugh is sad. If in fact he lied, it may be true. But he's so bright that to mention him in the company of any Democrat is an insult to Kavanaugh.
Well, he might be scholastically, academically bright, but he is not a bright man.
So much so.
For Christ's sakes. Yeah, like Frank, you're a bright guy. Think about that.
I just agreed with you.
You're so democratic.
With all due respect, because I have the most respect for you in the world. And by the way, I did call you back on that phone call, so my message is still there.
It's still in cyberspace.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think academically, scholastically, he's very, very well educated human being. But that doesn't necessarily mean that makes you bright. And I don't think he's bright, because I'm telling you guys, if he really, for me, if I was his handler, instead of him coming in sniffling and saying, I like beer, you like beer, everybody likes beer, do you like beer, do you drink, like, he was extremely, and what he did, the same thing as what Marco Rubio did, and that fucked him up.
Yeah. And not only beer, but beer was Squeege, TJ, and Donkey Dog
Yeah,
Doug.
well, when he said buffing is farting, he knew what it was.
Oh, yeah, and Devil's Triangle. And they actually changed that on
Those
Wikipedia.
are all fucking lies.
I know, it's a sex act. It's a sex act.
And I'm pretty sure that, and going back to what Bill said, a lot of the people who were supporting him as a whole in the Republican Party are beginning to walk themselves back. So I'm telling you, Bill, I believe 150% that if he would have said to Congress, let the Democrats or whoever be happy, do the FBI investigation, and I'll be more than happy to come back. That's what he should have done. And it would. I'm telling you, the public perception of him would have been way better, and there would have been no Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah, and the temperament. Do you want the man who will explode like that in front of the world, in front of Congress? Do you want him in one of the highest position for a judge in basically North America
I
and the world?
think if you look at it and you look at his position and situation, he's probably a little bit shocked that here we are looking back at incidents that happened in 1985, 1984. Now a police report is being investigated where Kavanaugh was involved, possibly in a bar fight.
Well, no, where Kavanaugh was the actual instigator.
Yeah.
Well, so what he
In Hartford in '85, yeah.
saying is he did not throw the ice. But
Listen, I don't give a fuck if he threw the ice. I mean, that's bullshit anyways. That's a bullshit reporting. And I kind of agree with Mitch McConnell. Like, who gives a fuck, right?
Well, the only reason why they're looking at it...
I don't care about any of that.
Listen, was arrested.
John Gallagher made a fine point. This guy is going to get tenure. He's going to be a Supreme Court judge. The only way you either retire or you die.
Right.
It's a job for life, right? So,
kind of job where they're going to dig up skeletons from 40 years ago.
It doesn't matter. He fucked himself because that testimony he gave was incredibly argumentative. It was incredibly scary and creepy. And he would have... This is a judge. Mueller, whether you hate him or whether you despise him or whether you're on the other team, not once has he come forward. Not once has he fucking grabbed anybody's bait. He's doing his shtick, okay, until they fire him or until he finishes his report, and that's it.
Yeah. And he's really dug himself into a bigger hole. He's not being invited back to Harvard to speak in 2019 because 800.
But that was mutual, buddy.
Right.
They both agreed. They both
well,
spoke.
You know what, Frank? I think
in all fairness to him,
right.
And you're correct.
Yeah.
In all fairness to him,
right.
They both agreed that he wouldn't be coming back.
Because I think he thought he'd get the gig, so he resigned. But 800 ex-alumnus of Harvard and students have signed a petition saying we don't want him back. And I also read today in the New York Times that he can be impeached as a judge for what he did last week.
I think that the biggest problem for him right now, in my view, is not defending himself against the allegations from 30 years ago. I think his biggest issue is going to be him defending himself that he's caught in a lie.
Right.
And they don't hire you, Eric. You understand when you go.
No, I get it. If
for
he's
a job
not, he's
interview,
done.
you don't get hired if you lie on your application.
No, you're right. He opened up his testimony last week by saying that no one helped him with it. It was all him, and this is what how he feels, and maybe he should have sat down with someone and gone over maybe things to say and how to
last week, and I will stand by it. And I said this to you too, Billy. If this guy, if he is the genius that he is, a great legal mind, the first thing he should have done, you know what lawyers tell? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Lawyers tell their clients, shut up and don't fucking open your mouth. Because nowadays, that moment will not be erased in time anymore because of social media.